Hey everybody, welcome back to the MidFi Man. My name is Wilson Hines and I will be your host for the next few minutes. Hopefully we can keep this down below 15 minutes, but I got a little story to tell. As you remember, we were dealing with returning the UltraDeck, and I believe the last video I didn't even look. By the way, I am exhausted. It has been a really long 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today has been long. Started at 2:30 this morning and it's 6:30 right now. So I'm give out. But I've had 4 or 5 times in the past couple days to where I've been able to record and then it gets thwarted for one reason or another. So let's talk about what happened to the UltraDeck. Let's talk about what happened with Music Direct and everything. Basically, for review, where we were at, I believe, was as I was showing everybody in a short 2 or 3 minute video, the skating was way off, the anti-skating. It looked like an Olympic skater going all over the ice, man. There were 3 problems that were vertical tracking force, the vertical angle, then for lack of better words, the piston that operates the Q lever function and everything. All of that stuff was a train wreck. And over the past few months, I had it for 92 days, and basically over the past 3 months, we would have a disaster of an issue come up with the UltraDeck. I would call in the support, and then they would talk me through it, and we would get it back. And then after, a month, then we would have the same problems over again, right down to putting oil in it. It was just a disaster from beginning to end. There was never a time when I fully trusted it. And I know what you're thinking. Wilson, you said that you really enjoyed the UltraDeck and that it was a welcome addition. I never trusted the UltraDeck. I was always worried about how it was tracking and everything, but I enjoyed the idea of the UltraDeck because when it did work, it worked marvelously. I was able to talk to a gentleman yesterday after church, and he has a studio deck, which is the model below the UltraDeck. Very similar. They even look, if you don't know what you're looking at, they look almost identical. But he had never had a problem with it. Loved it. And I'm glad for him, but that was not the case for me. $2,800 turntable I got for $1,800. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this may be the title of the video. Never, ever, ever buy anything but a brand new turntable. That's my recommendation. Look, take my advice. Do with it what you want to. I'm not using the advice. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Just take it. So I don't need it anymore. Frustration mounted. It had to go. You guys know. You heard the YouTube short, 1 minute long video, basically saying, "Hey, look, the offer they come back to me with is they wanted to buy it from me for $800. They didn't want me to return it. They did not want a trade per se. They were willing to give me $800 credit for it." And after I explained to them that they had absolutely lost their minds, I paid $1,800 for it as a refurbished model. And of course, I think what they did is they got it back from whoever they sold it to, and it had these problems, and they literally looked at it, close the box back up, and put it on the shelf. And there were a couple reasons why even the tech told me that he thought that may have been the case. So in any case, what did I do? Eventually, and it seemed like everybody was on vacation. I think they were trying to drag me out, trying to frustrate me, trying to get me to where I'm like, oh, okay, go ahead and just let's do this. I did not do that. We went back and forth a couple times, and kicked it up to this supervisor who had to kick it up to that supervisor type of thing. I ended up taking a 20% hit and returned it to them. Now they think that I'm buying a new turntable from them, but when I had slept on it, they were going to, all right, back up. When they received the UltraDeck back and then they checked it in and refunded me the money, then they were going to call me and say, all right, now what do you want? I decided after I slept on it, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to Audio Advice and in Raleigh, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive from where I live in Mount Olive, North Carolina. And I bought this, a Rega P6. And it has I thought I was going to get a ANIA or an ANIA Pro cartridge. Ended up, their recommendation was, they said that they had troubles with the ANIA matching up with preamps that were not Rega preamps. So they recommended the HANA HL cartridge, and it's beautiful. And this whole thing is beautiful. And this whole thing just works, and works so well. It's made in England. It is the Planar 6, or Planar, however you say it. One of the things I like about it, it's got a separate power supply. I really like that. That's the little box you see over here. Man, this thing is set up right. And the reason, by the way, the reason I like the separate power supply, I like getting the power away from the device as much as possible. In the way upper high-end gear, Pass Labs, for example, they make amplifiers, or they make preamps, phono preamps and amplifiers. I believe they make a DAC, all three of those having, and they're in the $10,000 and up range, $20,000 range, but they have a totally separate case. It'll look like two identical pieces of equipment, and one of them is just the power supply. And the point of it is to get that electromagnetic and RF, get all that out of the signal path, get it away from the signal path, get it away from the equipment, and try to get it shielded inside of another case. And I like that idea, and that's what we got with the P6 and the Neo power supply. So with the P3 does not come with that standard, but the P6 and I believe the P8 come with that standard. I think there's a different one maybe for the P9 and 10, but anyhow, that's the way it works, and it's just a joy. It is absolutely just a joy, and it sounds beautiful. The HANA, they're saying, takes about 20 albums, about 20 hours, something like that, to break in. So in any case, I'm really looking forward to keeping this for a long time. I will get to this probably I will get to this next topic in more detail in another episode. Man, I'm give out. I'm sitting here like exhausted. I'm having trouble keeping my words together. Pardon me. But anyway, essentially one thing that's going to have to change, and that is in process right now, is I realize, as much as I love the shit skull phono preamp, I realized almost immediately, within minutes, I realized that it was not up to this task. It is punching above its weight. It is doing a fantastic job with moving magnet. And I think it would do fantastic with most moving coil. On the other hand, I can already tell the Hannah is hungry and wants more settings. It wants more flexibility, and the Skull just does not have it. Does it sound good? Yes. Does it sound really good? Yes. But I can literally hear it saying, hey man, I need some more options. So I'll get into that in another episode. But in the meantime, for the next, I'd say 7 to 8 days, I've already done something. I've already bought something, got it on the way. But in the meantime, the Skull, I've got it sold. I sold my Bifrost 264. And I'm going to get into that in that episode as well. Why would I sell my Bifrost? Well, quite frankly, it's a $800 DAC. It's a pretty good DAC. It's a pretty good DAC. For the money, it's a pretty good DAC. But I found some weaknesses with that as well. We're going to get into that in another episode. I found quite a few weaknesses with the Bifrost, and I was surprised. So for me, I needed a better phono preamp, and it wasn't that difficult for me to let go of the Bifrost and the Skull, and let's get into a better phono preamp. And we'll get into that here in the next week or so. Right now, keep a lookout, hit subscribe, ring the bell, thumbs up if you will, please. And I know this is kind of a rambling post. I've got some good topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about ship products in general. I want to go over the Bifrost DAC and talk about how it performs. But I want to talk about ship products in general. I think we're going to do that in about, not the next episode, but the one after that. The next episode, I would really like to get into the preamp side of things and explain that. Trying to keep it in the 15-minute range. We're at 14 minutes right now, and I know I've got some editing to pull out some and a couple other things. I would like to do an episode on comments. We've got some fantastic comments, and I want to highlight some of those comments. I believe probably 3 episodes from now, or I may take one of the upcoming episodes and put it on the beginning or tail end. But I really want to get into comments. I've had some interesting comments. I've had a couple people kind of rude. What more can you expect? I mean, it's YouTube, right? Social media in general. So anyway, for now, going to say sayonara. We're going to sign off here on the MidFi Man. Catch you later.